అంటే ప్రతిదానికి టెస్ట్ ఉంటుంది. అది అయిపోయిన తర్వాత ఏంటంటే మీకు ప్రాజెక్ట్ ఉంటుంది. ఆ ప్రాజెక్ట్ మొత్తం ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాము. సో ఆ ప్రాజెక్ట్ లో మీరు ఏంటంటే ఇంకా అన్ని చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. వన్ బై టాస్క్లు అయిపోయిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ ఇవన్నీ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది మీరు. ఓకే సార్. సో అట్లా నాకు డౌట్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ మీరు ఫస్ట్ క్లాస్ వినలేదా? అంటే లైక్ ఏమేమి కవర్ చేస్తామని చెప్పేసి విన్నాను. ఇంట్రడక్షన్ క్లాస్ లో చెప్పిన ఎవ్రీథింగ్ అంటే ఎస్డిటిఎం కాన్సెప్ట్స్ కానించి స్పెసిఫికేషన్, ఏసీఆర్ఎఫ్, కంట్రోల్ టెక్నాలజీ, ఆల్ స్టడీ రిలేటెడ్ డాక్యుమెంట్స్ లైక్ ప్రోటోకాల్, SAP అండ్ annotated shells, ఎవ్రీథింగ్. సో డేటా ఇష్యూ లాగ్స్, రియల్ టైమ్ లో ఏమేమి డాక్యుమెంట్స్ ఉంటాయి, ఏమేమి ప్రాసెస్ ఉంటుంది, ఏమేమి అవసరం అవుతాయి మనకి, ఎలా వర్క్ చేయాలి, ఎలా స్టార్ట్ చేయాలి, ఎవ్రీథింగ్. సో కంప్లీట్ డీటెయిల్ ఉంటుంది ఫ్రమ్ ద బిగినింగ్, ఫ్రమ్ ఏసీఆర్ఎఫ్ టు అంటిల్ CSR ప్యాకేజ్. ఎస్డిటిఎం everything.
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్. నా పేరు నిహారిక. యాక్చువల్లీ నేనైతే నిన్న ఇంట్రడక్షన్ క్లాస్ వినలేదు, అంటే ఇప్పుడే జాయిన్ అయ్యాను. సో యాక్చువల్లీ నాకు డౌట్ ఏంటంటే నాకు ఆల్రెడీ లైక్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఉంది బ్యాంకింగ్ లో 6 years. అంటే ఇప్పుడు నేను నా డొమైన్ ని ఫిక్స్ చేసుకోవాలనుకుంటున్నా క్లినికల్ కి. మరి నాకు యూస్ఫుల్ అవుతుందా ఇది?
మీరు క్లినికల్ కి రావాలంటే డెఫినెట్లీ మీకు డొమైన్ అనేది రావాల్సిందే. సో దర్ ఈస్ నో అదర్ ఆప్షన్. మీకు రాకుంటే ఎవరు తీసుకోవాలి. ఎందుకంటే లైక్ ఇఫ్ యూఆర్ రీసెంట్ పాస్ 2021 మీకు సాస్ ఒకటి వచ్చి ఉంటే దట్స్ ఫైన్, దే కన్సిడర్ యాజ్ ఏ ఫ్రెష్. బట్ ఇఫ్ ఇట్స్ ఇన్ యువర్ కేస్ ఇట్స్ నాట్ సో రైట్. సో డెఫినెట్లీ యూ షుడ్ లెర్న్ ద డొమైన్, దెన్ ఓన్లీ ఇట్ ఈస్ యూస్ఫుల్ ఫర్ యూ.
అంటే నేను డొమైన్ నేర్చుకోవాలంటారా? అంటే లైక్ నేను కంప్లీట్లీ న్యూ కదా, బట్ నాకు ఇది అందుకే లైక్ నేను
నేర్చుకోవడం అనేది అట్లా రాదు అని చెప్పడానికి ఏమైనా రాకెట్ సైన్స్ కాదు, అలా ఏం లేదు. సో కాకపోతే ఏంటంటే సమ్ సీరియస్నెస్, సమ్ ఎఫర్ట్ ఖచ్చితంగా పెట్టాలి. టర్మినాలజీ సమ్వాట్ అది పెద్ద ప్రాబ్లం ఏం కాదు. లైక్ ఏంటి అంటే మనకు ఒక 2 to 3 weeks లో అర్థం అయిపోతుంది. టర్మినాలజీ ఏముంటుంది, ఏం కాదు, పెద్ద ప్రాబ్లం ఏం కాదు. మీరు అట్ ద ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ ద యూఆర్ ద ప్రోగ్రామర్. సో వాట్ యూ నీడ్ టు డూ, యూ నీడ్ టు రైట్ స్పెసిఫికేషన్, ఏసీఆర్ఎఫ్ అండ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్, దట్స్ ఇట్ రైట్. సో దానికి మీకు టర్మినాలజీ, మనం డాక్టర్స్ కాదు కాబట్టి టర్మినాలజీ తెలియకపోయిన ప్రాబ్లం ఏం కాదు. సో టర్మినాలజీ తోటి ఏముంటుంది.
ఓకే ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ. అంటే నా భయం అదే యాక్చువల్లీ. అంటే
ప్రోగ్రామర్స్ మెనీ ప్రోగ్రామర్స్ ఫ్రమ్ ద బీటెక్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్. సో బీటెక్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ వాళ్ళకి లైక్ క్లినికల్ టర్మ్స్ వాళ్ళకి కూడా న్యూనే కదా. సో అలా ఏముంటారు, నేర్చుకోవాలి ఏంటి అని. కాకపోతే ఏంటంటే లైక్ సమ్ ఎఫర్ట్స్ అనేది ఖచ్చితంగా రిక్వైర్ ఉంటాయి. ఎందుకంటే మీరు ఖచ్చితంగా సమ్ అవర్స్ ఎఫర్ట్ సీరియస్నెస్ ఉండాలి. ఏదో వింటాం చేస్తామంటే అంటే లైక్ ఎవర్ మనీ ఎవర్ టైమ్ అండ్ అదర్ టైమ్స్ అంతా వేస్ట్.
ఓకే, అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఆల్రెడీ సాస్ కోర్స్ నేర్చుకుంటున్నాను క్లినికల్ డే. సో దీంతో పాటు ఇంటర్న్షిప్ చేయగలనా మరి?
సాస్ కోర్స్ నేర్చుకోవడం సాస్ సేమ్ ఫర్ ద క్లినికల్ ఆర్ ఎనీ సెక్టర్ రిమైన్ సేమ్. సాస్ కోర్స్ మీకు ఆల్రెడీ సాస్ లో వర్కింగ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఉందన్నారు కదా. సో నేను మళ్ళీ ఇంకా సాస్ నేర్చుకోవడం ఏంటి అర్థం కావట్లేదు.
మధ్యలో నాకు 2 years గ్యాప్ వచ్చేసింది అనమాట.
ఓకే, రిఫ్రెష్ చేయాలంటే చేసుకోవచ్చు. డెఫినెట్లీ, బట్ స్పెషల్ గా మీరు మళ్ళీ నేర్చుకునే అవసరం లేదు. యూఆర్ వర్కింగ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఆన్ రైట్.
అవునవును.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So then we can start. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to discuss about the ACRF. Okay. So who all are joined today? So the previous 2 class what we discussed actually, the first session is the introduction session, and what all are the things which we are going to cover in the coming 3 to 4 months internship. Okay. So the detailed comprehensive training plan will be there. Okay. So the ones all are confirmed for this internship by this weekend on Monday. Okay. So we'll create all your accounts in the server, and then we will place all required documents, training plan, everything will be there. So you can access from there to everything. Okay. So and the first class is a kind of the training plan, so that we don't require to repeat again. But for the next week, we'll confirm and then they didn't attend yesterday's session, so we'll take one more refresh session for them. So no need to worry. That is the just basic things. Okay. So if they want, again we will repeat those sessions. That's not an issue. Okay. So today we are going to discuss about the ACRF. Okay. Yeah, fine. I think most of the members are from the already they completed the theoretical SDTM and RM thing. So can anyone tell us what is the CRF and what is the ACRF and what is the importance of the ACRF quickly? It is a blank document, sir. Blank means it doesn't have anything. It contains a variables location, which we put in the test data set. Okay. So can anyone confirm are able to see my screen? Yes. Okay, great. Sorry. Is there anybody?
CRF is the case reporting form.
Okay.
The available information and the technical layer data reserves.
Okay. So we'll collect only the subject level information. Okay. So basically, CRF is the one of the important and the key document and the master document for the any clinical trial. So, okay. So the CRF design will be taken from the data management thing. Okay. So basically, so if any clinical trials, if they want to perform any clinical trial, so based on the therapeutic area and based on the what endpoints and the safety and efficacy based on its particular clinical trial phase. Okay. the statistician will design the what they are going to do the analysis. Okay, the very initial step, it's a background step, so that we are not involved in those steps. Okay, but however, so based on that, okay, so the very initial calls and the principal investigations and the principal statisticians and the data management managers and the global data managers, they'll design the CRA first. Okay, so for these particular drug in these therapeutic area, and then these are the endpoints which we are going to analyze. Okay, for that, what kind of data we required? Okay, so the first and most important thing, what kind of data we require from the subjects, that is very important. Okay, so based on that, we will design a ACRF. So why I'm saying that, if you see any clinical trial, so each and every form will not same for the entire clinical trial. So we have a study A and study B. It is checked that there are few forms present in the study A, and then that will not present in the study B. So the vice versa. So why I'm saying that, so that particular clinical trials, what are the data points we required? So those only the CRF form they will design. Okay, so the first initial draft of the CRF design done, so they'll release for the review. The statisticians, programmers, global data managers, sponsor and scientists, sponsor and statisticians, everyone they'll review and they'll approve. So what are the data points which we require? Those things it will cover in the draft CRF. If not, they'll ask for the changes. Okay. This is the thing. So in some trials, after the CRF finalized also, during the CRF, during the clinical trial, sometimes they'll change the CRF. So it means they'll amend. There are many amendments during the clinical trials. Why? Because if they want to do something and then that data point is not there, and then they'll add additional forms and additional fields for the particular forms, those things will happen. Okay, so that is a different thing. But yeah, basically the CRF is that, okay, the case report form which contains all data points for that particular clinical trial. Okay, so sorry. Okay, so we'll talk about the introduction first, and then what is needed for the create the SDDM ACRF, and the characteristics of the annotated CRF. Okay, the format and the requirement rules for the annotation. So basically, right? So we are going to annotate the blank CRF. Then what is the requirement and what format we require? Okay, and the domain and the variable not annotated in the SDDM ACRF. Okay, if you see the SDTM domains, each and every domain will not annotate to the ACRF. Okay, so there are few domains, there are certain variables which we are derived based on the series things. Okay, so there are some derived domains as well as the derived variables. Okay, so the general rules for the to create a ACRF. Okay, and then the impact of the changes and the downstream. Okay, so the general SDTM ACRF mapping steps. Okay, SDTM control terminology. So what is the requirement of SDTM control terminology while creating the SDTM ACRF? Okay, so again ACRF demonstration. Okay, the demonstration means we'll show how to create a annotations. Okay, I think that's the demonstration will be taken care a little later. So most probably the next week, the first class. Okay, so today we will check the repeating all things. Okay. Okay, so while discussing about this ACRF and then while working on the clinical trials, you might aware of, you might hear from some of the things, so the acronyms and abbreviations. So these are the things, okay, you might all aware anyway. So this is the ACRF annotated case report form. The CDs you all know, and the CRF is the case report form. So okay, this is the CSDR, the clinical study data reviewers guide. Okay, the CSR is the clinical study report. Okay, CD is the control terminology. So the DD is the derived data set. Okay, so ECRF means electronic case report form. Okay, and these are some acronyms and synonyms. Okay. Okay. So first of all, the purpose of this course is to provide the introduction and guidance on how to annotate the case report form, which clinical data interchange means the CD study data tabulation model. Okay. So according to the FDA study, the data technical conformance guide October 2000, according to that, this ACRF is defined as, okay, it is a PDF document that maps the clinical data collection fields used to the capture subject data, okay, electronic on the paper. The corresponding variable or discrete variable values contained within the SDTM data sets. Okay, this is the meaningful definition for the CRF. Okay. Fine. Then the SDTM ACRF is the foundation for the SDTM on study. You know, right? So when we start from the programming activities, first and most first step is the important step is the ACRF. So we'll start from there. Okay. The mappings on the SDTM ACRF. Okay, and the guided creation of SDTM specification, the SDTM dataset, ultimately the SDTM define.xml. So whatever the mappings is there, so we'll do from the ACRF. Okay, so this will clearly explain that what all are the fields we have in the clinical trial. So those particular forms in the fields which we are going to map in the SDTM standards, which domain we are going to map, and which variable we are going to map. Okay, and which are the things which we are not going to submit for the SDTM. Okay, there are a few things, okay, that will come in the latest stages. Okay, the SDTM CRF shows how the data was collected in the study and where the data will reside within the SDTM datasets. So that's what, okay, this document shows that the data, how it is collected and then how we are going to map to the SDTM datasets. Okay, it is created by placing text boxes containing SDTM mapping next to text on the blank CRF. Okay, the PDF file is using Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Acrobat Professionals. Okay, so for this annotation we will use the blank CRF PDF document. So okay, so for creating the annotation, so we'll create a text boxes in the particular PDF document by using Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Acrobat Professional. Okay, so we require to do a CRF annotation, we require the CRF acrobat for that. Okay. So the annotator applies the knowledge of SDTM, the study protocol, regulatory requirements, sponsor standards, and the clinical study process to annotate the appropriate mappings. Okay. So actually, to create a ACRF, it is a very, very important that the person should aware the each and everything of the clinical trial, the particular study, as well as the very well knowledge on the CDISC standards and the experience on the annotations. Why? Because many of the CRF forms, I mean, most of the person will say the demographics will go in the DM and the disposition will, so the end of the study or any thing will go in the DS and the inclusion exclusion criteria form go in the IA. These are the straightforward forms anyone can say. But there are 70 to 80% forms. Those forms you might not aware of the which of the particular forms we need to map to the particular domain. So that knowledge will comes under when you are doing the keep on reading the things, study level documents and the previous studies, CRF annotation forms. So that will give the detailed knowledge on the ACRF. Okay, so what is the need for the creating the SDTM ACRF? Okay, so we have the document and we have the data sets. Okay, so then what is the important to create a ACRF? Okay, so a blank final unique completed CRF form. Okay, data management. Okay, the basically if you want to perform a CRF annotation, so we require a blank, unique, non-annotated CRF required. Okay, I think someone is unmuted, so can you please mute your system, please? There is a noise background. Okay, so what are the things we require to create annotated? Okay, so it's a blank, not annotated by data management in any way. So the basically when we are talking about the CRF, there are 3-4 types. One is for the unique, blank, non-annotated. Okay, so please listen carefully. Unique, blank, non-annotated. So okay, why I'm saying non-annotated means, okay, so there are 2 types of annotations. One is for the data management team, another for the SDT team. Okay, the data management team is to do that. Okay, the particular field belongs to which raw variable. So those relations they'll annotate it. Okay, so by open the CRF, you doesn't know that. Okay, for example, we have some XYZ field in the CRF. So how you know that which data, raw data set having this information and which raw variable is having the information, then only you can map into the SDTM, right? So those relation will explain to the data management annotations. Okay, so we have the couple of documents. One is data management annotation and another is the SDTM annotation. Okay, some studies will have the another document. What is that? I forgot that name actually. Very studies it will use. Okay. ALS, yeah, architecture spreadsheet. Okay, ALS. So what happened? Those studies from the RAVE, some particular companies, they'll not do the blank annotation for the DM perspective. They'll provide the ALS. ALS means architecture spreadsheet. Okay, that will provide you the raw data variable relation to that particular CRF and the CRF fonts. Okay, so don't panic. So these things we will demonstrate by showing the real-time documents. So while working on the real-time things, now we are going to discuss just today the theoretical part. So when we start from the next week, we will show and demonstrate all the documents, how you need to annotate it, how you need to take it, these things, what are the blank and what are the unique and what are the ALS, everything we will show you, and then we will place into the server so you can access the things. Okay. Yeah. So again that final approved non-annotated blank will require for the annotation. So final approve, I am saying that okay, if there are any drafts, if you do the annotation again, they'll do some changes. Again, we need to re-annotate it and then we need to copy annotation and it's a revert for SDTM. So once it's a finalized, the later amendments will happen. That is different. But when we are doing the ACRF, we require the final approved blank CRF required. Okay. So why I'm saying unique means for example, so basically in the clinical trial, the forms will repeat by visit, by phases. Okay. So basically how it happens. So the vital signs will capture in the screening phase, treatment phase, follow-up phase. Okay, the same forms will repeat for the 3 visits, or 4 visits, and so on. So in that case, the total full CRF will repeat for those forms 3 to 4 times. The same form, same fields repeat 3 to 4 times by visit wise. Okay, so if you want to annotate the repeated CRF, we need to do the same things again and again. Okay, for the reviewers and the programs, it will give the confusion. Okay, that's why to avoid those confusion, what we will do is that a unique blank, unique, why I'm saying that, okay, that form will contain only once. Okay, so the data will come from the raw data in the different visits, but the form will be there for only once. So those unique blank CRF will take for the annotations. Okay. Okay, so and then while doing the annotation, we require for protocol, definitely in some fields, we need to review the CRF to do annotations. Okay. In the CRF completion guidelines, okay, so we have some certain rules from the CDISC completion guidelines, so that we need to go refer and then do the annotations. Okay, and then the first and most thing important is that, okay, which SDTM IG version which we are going to use for the particular clinical trial. So based on that, your annotation is vary. Okay, the vary means it will not change entire. There are 5 to 10% based on the IG version, you're right. So from the 3.1 to 3.2, 3.2 to 3.3, so there is a some amendments, some changes in the SDTM IG versions. So based on that version, we are going to annotate it for the particular CRF. Okay, and the control terminology also. The control terminology also, which control terminology is going to use for the particular trial. That is also important. Okay. Okay, then the application SDTM. Okay, tags and the example for the sister studies ensure to consistency of applicable. So, okay, when we're talking about the sister studies, okay, so some of the clinical trials actually what happen, there are some similar studies for the particular, okay. So what happen if there are any clinical trials, some particular one sponsored, okay. So the similar study will be there in in-house, okay. The sister study means the study will be similar, the same drug in the similar form. There are some different endpoints and different things. So if we have those kind of studies, so we need to take those reference for the annotation. Why? Because when we are doing some comparison things and then some comparison reports to the FDA, then we require the consistency between the both studies. So in that case, if we have already sister study, okay, we'll take that reference. Okay, so this is the data management annotators here. What I said, it is required for sure, definitely while writing the specification, we require ALS or these things. So the annotation is optional if you want, and then we can keep it. Okay, the basic characteristics of the annotations. Okay, annotations must be searchable. Okay, so why I'm saying searchable means if you have the 300, 400 PDF document, we are not going to scroll in each and every page and where is the DM domain, where is the FA domain, where is the sub-PX domain, all not this. So while if you find the control F and then it will be searchable. So means you can use it if you are open any PDF or Word document. If you want any particular word, you are going to search, right? So the same thing you need to do the ACRF also. So in that way we need to do the annotations. Okay, and the format, color, fonts. Okay, there are certain color requirements and the certain fonts for the formatting things that we will discuss in the later slides. Okay, and the represent for the SDTM domains and the variable. This is anyway we are doing that thing only. So SDTM DM so SDTM domains as well as the variables which we are going to annotate it. Okay, so the annotation should be clear and neat. Okay, and the annotation should be complete. It should not be the shortcut forms or something like that. It should be the complete. Okay, and the consistency. Why I'm saying the consistency, throughout the study you should follow the consistency. So use for the one domain is one font, one domain is a one color, another domain is different color. It's not the case that. So we have certain rules. So we need to definitely follow the consistency. Okay, not non-repetitive. So non-repetitive means okay, the same QNAMs, some particular things we cannot repeatedly use. For example, if you have the one QNAM for the sub-PX, okay, we cannot use the same name for the sub-FA, something like that. Unambiguous, okay. So your annotation should be neat and clear. It's not the case that while saying that you have the many confusion, something like that. Okay. Okay, the format requirements rules for the annotation. So all domains and variable text, okay, must be capitalized, okay, and the other text should be the mixed case. Okay, when we are talking about the variable text, okay, if you see the DS term is a capital, okay, the other variables LB or AS, okay, these things, okay, other text should be the mixed cases. It depends. Okay, if you see the DS equal to disposition, so the disposition is that okay, it will show that the DS domain and then the abbreviation of the particular domain. Okay. So the annotation boxes must have a blank border. So the blank border is this one. Okay. So this is the blank border. The domain annotations use the Arial 12 bold black text. Okay. For the domain annotations, if you see, this is the domain annotation. Okay. For this Arial bold black text, you need to use it. That okay. For these domain annotation, so the each and every CRF form in the top of the CRF form will have the domain name. So for that, you need to use the Arial 12 and the bold as well as the black text. Okay, concatenate the domain prefix and the domain label with the equal sign. Okay, this is the what we're talking about this one. Okay, so the VS equal to vital signs. Okay, these we need to represent like this for the each and every domain. Include a space before and after the equal sign. So this also is a very important thing that so there should be a space for this equal before and after. Okay, each domain on the page should have its own annotation. Okay, so each domain should have the own annotation for the each and every page. Should be placed on the top left hand side of the page. Okay, this will be represent in the CRF form. Top left hand side like here. So we need to represent each and every CRF form. Okay. So when we see the CRF, we'll understand the things. Okay. The variable annotation. Variable annotation use Arial 10 bold red text. Okay. These are the variables if you see. Okay. To place the text next to the item field that will be mapped. Okay. So these things we need to place in the right to the text. Okay. So when we have the CRF field, we need to particular text we need to map the adjacent to the that field. Okay, so include a space before and after the equal sign for use again for the variable also the LB or is equal to normal. So this thing also required like this. Okay. Okay. So the format requirements and the rules for the annotations. Okay. Use the following background color scheme for the domain variable annotation when not otherwise specified by the sponsor. Okay. So here why we are talking about the not otherwise specified by the sponsor means if you have there is no specific requirements from the sponsor, particular sponsor. Sponsor means client. Okay. So we can use these colors. The sponsor is having the different color coding system, then we will follow those things. Otherwise, generally we will follow these color scheme. Okay. First domain would be the light blue. Okay. Second domain would be the light yellow. And the third domain would be the light green. Okay, so the fourth one is the light orange, fifth domain is the light purple, the sixth domain, own description. So we have. So we are saying the first to sixth means it's not count for the entire CRF. It is count for the only one form. Okay, if we have a one form, okay, so the first domain is having the different color coding system. Okay, that form is having the more than one SDTM domain mappings. So that differentiate we are talking about. Okay, for here for the first domain we'll allocate this color light blue, yellow, green, orange, purple. So the later its own choice. Okay. So the multiple on the same page. So what we are talking about these things. Okay. If you see here, okay. So the first DS is equal to disposition, the DM is equal to demographics. Okay. So these things we will follow the domain color representation. This is the background. What we are talking about the background. That's it. Okay. The format requirements and rule for the annotations. Okay. So the dataset and domain and the variable names. Okay. Should not contain the punctuation, dashes, spaces, other non-alphanumeric symbols or special characters included. Okay. In the CRF annotation, you should not use the special characters. So please put on your mic, please. If you have any question, then you can ask. Otherwise, you can put on your mic, please. Okay, so these are the list of special character which we cannot use for the annotations. Okay, if you see, we want to represent text like this. Okay, this is the right one, this is the wrong one. We cannot use the comma or something like that. Okay, if you see the ARL and the column, again, this is the wrong representation for the variables. Okay, so just we need to represent like this ARL. Okay, data set, okay, and the variable labels can include punctuation characters. However, the special characters should not be provided, such as, okay. So unbalanced apostrophes, an example, Parkinson's. Okay, so for this we cannot use like this. Okay, adverse events. So we cannot use apostrophes. So we need to represent like these are adverse events. Again, here that unbalanced single and double quotation marks. This one. Okay, and the parenthesis also we cannot use. Okay, so this is a less than sign or greater than sign also we cannot use in the annotations. Okay. So these things for the variables as well as the domains, we cannot use these things. Why? Because these are the things the FDA will not accept. And while we are doing the P21 report and while preparing the CSR, and then when we are doing the SDRG, ADRG, and the define.xml, so especially define.xml, these things will not allow. So the define.xml should be readable and then hyperlinks will work properly. Then only the FDA will review the document. So that's why to avoid all these things from the beginning of the study, each and every. So these are the small guidelines for the ACRF. However, each guideline would be the important. Okay. So no worries. These are the list of the things we can place it in the servers, and then you can, while working on the things, you can refer everything. Okay. Okay. The format requirements rules for the annotation. Okay. Use the double quote for the or no quotations. Okay. So this one. So do not place annotation too close to the margin of the document. The publishing requirements of the SDM ACRF, okay, that are placed within these boundaries of the document edge. Okay, so do not place the annotations close margin to the document. Okay, the annotation should be what I said in the very initial. It should be that neat and clean, right? So it should not override any text. Okay, it should not place it at the border. So it will truncate the particular text for the annotations. Okay. So again, FDA non-binding recommendations will be, it will be added to the most sponsor publishing requirements. Okay. Again, so these are the requirements. Okay. So FDA will not guide you all these things. This is the sponsor responsibility to follow these things. Okay. If you go and check that for the SDTM standards, we have the certain rules from the series. For the CRF annotation, these are the most widely used rules for the entire organizations. But however, these rules you cannot find anywhere in the series site or anywhere in the FDA standards. Okay, so these are the things which we need to use from the organization perspective. So ensure the annotations are in the line with applicable text on the CRF aligned underneath on one another. Okay, so ensure the all line with the applicable. Okay, if you see here, so your annotation should be like this. Okay, okay, it should not be like this. Why? Because this AE belongs to the event member. So if you go here, how you can find that this annotation is related to this one or this one? So these confusion should not be there. Okay, it should be clear and neat. So if you see here, this annotation should be here. So then only you can understand this event number is needs to map in the ref ID. Okay, so do not obstruct any text on the CRF annotation. So you cannot override the already pre-specified text in the CRF. Okay, so the event number is remapped to the ref ID. So I'm saying again, please mute your mic. Please check your you have your mic is muted or unmuted. Okay, we have a background noise. Okay, you should not override this text and the pre-specified text from the CRF. When the space is limited on the ACRF, okay, space CRF, use the arrows to assist them within the mapping. Okay, so for example, we have a limited space here in the CRF, but you need to put this much text. Okay, TS carries equal to disposition event. So this is the text which you need to annotate it here. Okay, so in that case, you can use the arrow marks. So in the CRF page, wherever you have in the particular page, you can annotate this one and then put it the arrow marks. Okay, so it means this will represent from this field. Okay, And then, so if you have the very limited and then the top, the bottom column, you have some space, okay? In that case, you can annotate it and give the numbers, okay? Here, for example, if you see, this is the number 1 and the number 2, okay? In the bottom of the CRF, the particular page, you can use these numbering to represent these annotation, okay? The PESK are not done when no is checked, okay? The PE or LS is performed when S is checked, okay? So was the physical examination performed, this is the field. So these two annotation, we cannot put it in this blank space. So in this case, what we can do, we will give the numbering 1 and 2, okay? Wherever we have the space, that we will place like this, okay? 1 is for this and the 2 is for this. If you have the space in above or below the particular field, and then we can use these arrows, okay? The format requirements and rules for the annotations, okay? Yeah, the format means, for example, the supplemental qualifiers. According to the SDTM metadata submission standards, okay? The subcalls domain names, for example, sub-DS do not need the annotated as long as the related cousin domain. For example, DS is annotated on the same page. Okay, so in the sub-DS, okay, for example, we have a particular form that will map to the DS, okay, in the top left corner, we will give the DS is equal to this position, okay. So, but again, we have the supplementary for the particular DS. In that case, we are not going to supplement sub-DS is equal to supplementary qualifiers for the disposition. We will not use this one. So, there is no requirement. Directly we can understand from the main parent domain from the DS, okay. The subcall variable names must be annotated when the annotation subcall variables include the QNAM value specified in which subcall data set is resides, okay. So, for the supplementary domains also, we should require annotation that is clearly mentioned for the QNAM, okay. QNAM, for example, if you see the race OTH in sub-DM, okay, this is the one. It means that particular form, okay. So these are the supplement sub-DM we have, and then that will go for this race OTR. So this is the QNAM name, okay. So the label will be the Q label, okay. That we will cover later part, but just remember as a QNAM now, okay. The rationale for this approach that will to join the supplemental values with the correct data rows for the parent domain, okay. The important information for the reviewers is therefore the variable name, the QNAM, and not supplemental dataset that is in the originated in, okay. So basically we will annotated only the QNAMs in the supplementary domains. We cannot annotate any other variables from the supplementary domain. We will annotate only the QNAM, the particular form. Okay, there should be always a parent record to which supplementary qualifier the variable links to. Okay, so if you are creating any QNAM in the supplementary domain, definitely that record will link to the parent domain. Definitely. So how we can link, there is a different, okay, when we are doing the program, we can discuss that, okay. So that will link to the sequence number or group ID or your subject number, okay. So in the DM we don't have the sequence, why? Because we have the one record per subject. In that case we will link for the subject wise, okay. But when it comes to the other domains, we will use for the most commonly sequence, but in very few cases we will use the group ID as well for the particular QNAMs. So this is the representation for the supplementary qualifiers, okay. So there are bit different wording and texting from the various sponsors. For example, some of the sponsors will do annotation like this, race OTH and sub-DM, that's it. But some of the sponsors prefer to have the QNAM in sub-DM where QNAM is equal to race OTH. So it means it will give the information, the QNAM name will be the race OTH, okay. And then this will go to the sub-DM, and this particular field we need to map for, the result we need to map for QNAM. Again, there is the different sponsor to sponsor how we can annotate. Okay, the format requirements and rules for the annotations again. Okay, so because of the vertical nature of the SDTM finding domains, it may be necessary to include the value of test CD in the annotations. For example, annotations are the vital signs with simply V or ls V or ls is not sufficient. It is necessary to indicate the V test CD to which result the unit applies. Okay, when the annotation system with blood pressure, the recommended format would be, okay. So basically, if we have any particular result field in the finding domains, okay, so is mandated to use the VS test CD particularly or any particular domain related test CD. So based on that form, why? Because if we annotated only the V or RS, that will not make sense. Okay, particularly you need to provide the test CD. So the VRS means the which VS or VS. We have the CSBP, DABP, temperature, pulse, many test CDs in the VS. So that should be clearly mentioned for here. Okay, use the date part and time part annotations, dates and times that are all collected in the separate item on the CRF. Okay, so some CRF forms will capture the end date and the start date and end time and the start time, something like that. Okay, some CRF will capture the direct date and time, start date and time. So it means the one field will give the only entire date and time, but in the few CRF will capture like this end date and end time. So there are two fields. So in this case, these two are the things will go in the same date variable. If you see here, this is the CE and the NDTC. So the time and date would be go to the ISO 8601 format. Okay, so the basically so we'll map for these like date part of the CES DTC, time part of the CE and DTC. Again, all pages and items on the CRF must be annotated. Okay, so the entire unique CRF you need to annotate each and every form and each and every field. There should not be leave any blank field or blank. There should not be leave any field or any form from the CRF. Okay, if we are not interested to map those particular things from the CRF to the SDTM, then we have a server representation, so that will come in the later part. When no series sponsor standard seems to fit the type of data collector in the CRF, a custom domain may be created within permissions from the sponsor. The sponsor should also be informed the delivery email which pages custom mappings were added. Okay. In some certain studies, okay, there are some information that will not fit into the existing SDTM domains. Okay, so the existing SDTM domains that will not fit for the as we have the SDTM versions. So in that cases, we have means the sponsor have a leverage that they can create the custom domains. Okay, the custom domains means okay they'll create their own sponsor specific. But how we know how we can create the custom domains? For the, already we have the domains. For that we have certain guidelines, certain variables, certain rules. Based on that we will annotate it. When it custom is how we can know. For the custom also, how we can find the first thing that particular CRF form will not fit into the SDT existing domains. First, we will find that information where it will fit. It will fit in the special purpose, or it will fit in the interventions, it will fit in the findings or events. The most of the cases, those are the things will fit into the findings and the interventions. Okay, so those requirements. In that case, we will follow the finding or intervention structures. But will represent that variable and the domain name is a bit different. How we can that? Okay, so this is the XA procedural interventions. Okay, so the procedural interventions is mapping to the XA is the custom domain. Okay, again for the custom domains, always we used to create a domain starts with the XYZ. Remember, custom domains will start from the XYZ. If you see any CRF, if we have any custom domain, the name will start from the XYZ. Okay, if you see here, it starts from X. Okay, so this is the intervention type, right? So that's what we will use the XA-TRT. Okay, for example, in the SDTM we have the XTRT, right? So that is the intervention. So that is the topic variable XTRT. Okay, but we are using the interventional structure, but we are creating the custom domain. So in that case, we will use the same structure. That's why the variable names looks like this: XA-TRT, XAIND, something like that. Okay, if there are any changes in the wording or the terminology during the mapping process, this should be clearly identified either the annotations or in the define.xml comment. Okay, for example, if the ACR has question ethnicity, the subject is Hispanic or Latino, within yes no checkbox, then the annotation is on the define XML comment needs to be specified the following. Okay, so the basically here, for example, we have the field ethnicity Hispanic or Latino, yes or no. Okay, so in this annotation we need to represent like this. Okay, ethnicity equal to Hispanic or Latino when yes. These are the checkbox. Okay, in the CRF we used to have the fields like checkboxes or drop downs, free text. Okay, if it's a checkboxes means we have the particular options yes, no, unknown, something like that. The CRF in the database they'll tick this. If the subject is from Hispanic Latino, they'll tick yes. If not, and then no. Okay, so in these cases, okay, we need to represent like this. Okay, for example, the annotation is like that. We have a ethnicity, that's it. They haven't provided it Hispanic or Latino, just ethnicity and the free text. So the free text column, the subject need to enter is ethnicity. If it's a Hispanic Latino, they'll enter. Otherwise, non-Hispanic Latino, they'll enter. Okay. So the based on the CRF fields, that will we need to annotate the CRF. This is the checkbox, right? So that's why we will do like this. Okay. If it's a free text, what I said is the free text, right? Okay. The free text appears in the CRF and it maps to the SDTM variable. Then the text should be annotated, for example. Okay. Form urine analysis. Okay. Urine analysis, for example. Lab cat equal to urine analysis. Something like we need to map like this. We should not directly this adjacent to the urine analysis. We can add the LB cat, something like that. So we need to represent like this. Okay. Cat and discount objective methods text and any other qualifiers variables that apply multiple pages should be annotated every page is applicable form. For example, adding the LB cat annotation every page urine analysis lab form. The span of 5 pages is not applicable for the C. Okay. So basically these are the forms. Okay. In the same form, the category, subcategory, objective method, these things we need to annotate it repeatedly. Why? Because, for example, within the form we have the multiple categories. Within the form we have the subcategories. Within the form we have the multiple objective. For example, if you go to the FA, so we have the FA objective is the topic variable, we have the multiple FA objective. So in that case, we cannot say that refer annotations on the page. So we need to annotate each and every page these kind of variables. Okay. If there are any number items with or without pre-printed numbers that are mapped to the SPID in the single variable, it should be annotated like this. Okay. So these are the MHSPID. So we have some particular number, so then we can annotate it particularly that adjacent to the box we have MHSPID, something like this. Okay. So when the data, okay, I mean that particular field or form recorded in the ACRF and not submitted for the SDTM things. Okay. So in the CRF, okay, in the previous I said that each and every form, each and every field you need to annotate it, right? But there are certain fields or forms which we cannot annotate for the SDTM. Okay, those are the fields is created for the DM perspective. Okay, so in some cases leading questions. Okay, so the leading question means okay, we have in the particular field there is a leading question that is asking for the subjective. So the leading question we cannot map to the SDTM, and then there is no use for the analysis perspective. So that's why those kind of things we will map like not submitted. So the not submitted means it will clearly represent that, okay, these are the form, these are the particular field we are not submitting to the SDTM. So this is the fields meant for the only data collection points from the site level and the data management level people only, but we don't any interest. There is no need for the analysis part. That's why we are not submitting. So it means this data will capture in the raw data, but we are not mapping to the SDTM like this. For example, sorry. Okay, so did the subject meet key eligibility criteria? Also, we have the inclusion exclusion criteria, list of inclusion exclusion criteria in the CRF. So for each and every criteria, they will answer. But there is a one question at the end. Okay, did the subject meet the eligibility criteria? For that, there is a requirement for them to enter the data fields. If they answer this one, the other fields will open from the database. So this is the leading question. So we cannot map into the SDM. In that case, we will use the not submitted. Okay, that's right. So these are the required for the data management people. In that case, we cannot use like these SDTM. Okay, data not submitted according to the sponsor standards. 1 second. Am I audible? Hello, sir.
Yes.
Okay, there we are. Slide date. This is okay, so again, yeah, to ensure that the variable is only annotated once for the page and clearly identify the difference between the duplicate annotation with the describing different values. Okay, so each and every field you need to annotate only once. Okay, it should not be like the twice. Okay, so for example, LBTS is equal to PH and then MBDS is equal to RCH, something like that. So in this case, we have some ambiguous situation, right? So your annotation should be clear and neat. So that's what we need to maintain the consistency for the entire CRF. Okay, so unique versus repeat pages. Okay, so why I'm saying that unique versus repeat pages? So we are going to use for the only unique non-annotated CRF. So for example, in the unique non-annotated also, we have a forms like that. Okay, it will repeat twice. In that case, we need to use the same annotation for that. Okay, for example, if it repeats from the visit wise, that is a different story. But the form itself, we have the similar form for the, it is mapped for, it is designed from the CRF. In that case, what we can do is that if we have the similar fields, then the same domain, we will refer the page numbers. You could please see the page number 34, something like that. Okay, for the annotations. Okay, so those things we can, it means for the annotation, we will give the reference. Okay, so that we will demonstrate in the live CRF. Okay, at the end, again, today is not possible. It will not cover entire thing. So the next class or in the next to next class. So while demonstrating in the ACRF, we will show that these are all rules. Okay. So the only include the annotations unique forms. Use the same font and the color for the domain annotation. So we are already discussing. The ACRF should be annotated if any of the following is true. An additional item exists on the page compared with the existing annotated page. Additional scheduled time. Okay. So for example, when the same form is the additional scheduled time, it is the similar form, then we need to annotate it again. Okay. So again, as an item does not exist on the page compared with the existing annotation page. Okay. So for example, we have a couple of vital signs forms. Okay, the vital signs will repeat. Okay, but height cannot repeat. Right? There is no requirement. Height will not change. Right? So the height will be constant. So there is no repeat for that. So in that case, there is a different in the form nature. So in the previous form will have the height. The next form will not have the height. So in that case, we cannot directly refer to as a page number. We need to annotate it again. Those things. So something like that. The pages includes a new topic for the first time in the CRF. Okay. Again, so for example, we have the reference for the particular CRF to the previous annotation. But however, there is a new field. The particular form. So in that case, we will annotate that field, particular new field. So what it has covered in the particular form. Okay. So the page should not be annotated if the following is true. The only difference visit name or schedule time name of the page number is present. Okay. So what I said, if it's a visit name is different, then there is no need to add annotated again. Okay. Okay. Okay, so there are some certain domains in the certain variables we are not mapped to the SDTMs, CRF, okay, ACRF. These are the things which we cannot annotate with the ACRF. For example, trial domains. You know already trial domains is from the directly protocol, so no need to annotate it. The subject elements, okay, the subject elements. So this is the derived data set, okay. So then we cover how to derive in the SDTM the later part. So the protocol deviation also we have the deviation external file. So from the protocol deviation as a programmer, what you need to take care and how to incorporate those the protocol deviation file into the SDTM data sets. So but anyway, so the topic is that the protocol deviation also we will not map into the SDTM ACRF because this is not a ECRF capture data. This is the particular site level flat files will get. So the SDTM variable usually the epoch, element, TTC, DT, TAETORD, okay, ETORD, and then use subject area, arm CD, actual arm CD, country. These are the things we will not annotate into the ACRF. Okay, this is directly comes from the some of the variables from protocol, some of the from the particular raw data sets, and then we will assign those things into the specification level. So we will not represent in the ACRF. Obviously, these are the DY variables, study calculations. These things will be captured from the raw data. These are derived variables, baseline flag, derived flags, and then the ACBD flags. Okay, some category flags will be there. This is the sequence number and the modify logic. This is the dictionary. So we will use for the dictionary derived variables from the dictionary versions from LB. So there are particular clients they will have their own dictionary for the laboratories. Okay, like Ludwig and Logic. These are the dictionary names for the LB. Again, these are the derived variables stress C, stress M. Okay, these will map directly in the specification and the programming with the device. Again, these are ID bar, Q label, Q origin. These are the things we will not map into the ACRF. Okay. Again, there are some general rules for the annotated CRF. Annotation should be reflected in the data that are expected to be submitted within the SDTM data sets. Okay. And the annotation should be reflected in the SDTM domain, the variables that the data collected in the data is mapped to. Okay, so you always remember that what are the things which we are going to submit for the SDTM data only we will put into the annotation, the remaining will be not submitted. If no data are collected for a variable, the annotated CRF will represent the data that would have been submitted. Had the data been received, do not re-annotate the CRF in indicate the data were not collected. Okay, so if there are any particular fields data was not captured and then you already annotated, so the later not annotated data was not collected, something like that. Okay. The variable labels, type, label length, and the code list should be not annotated in the CRF. They are provided from the define.xml. Okay. So these are the variable labels, type. These are basically attributes. So the code list that will provide in the define.xml document. Okay. So define.xml is a document. This is the submission guidelines requirement. That is the important things how we can create the define.xml. So that we will show later part how that is. What is the important of the define.xml part and method. For the purpose of SDTM submission, all required expected permissible variables that were collected, plus any variables that are used for the compute derivation should be submitted. Okay. So the required and expected variables and if the data is captured for the permissible, then we need to represent. Otherwise, we cannot for the permissible cases. For the derivation should be submitted. The operational database annotations, the relevant should not be included. Okay, so that's what we use for the blank unique rights for the annotation. So we cannot use for the data management annotation. We should not be the both annotation in the same document. The define.xml origin column should be linked to the page where the annotated variables appears. Okay, so in the define.xml, each and every domain, each and every particular annotation, we need to provide the page numbers. Why? Because in the define.xml is like that. In the define.xml, if you open the dm.xpt, it will open your study dm dataset. In the define.xml, if you open the AETRT variable, then it will redirect to the CRF particular annotated where it's annotated AETRT. So the define.xml is the document the reviewers can easily access entire study from there. There is the master document from there, they will annotate it. That will be hyperlinked with each and everything in the background. So if you click that, it will go through the particular CRF, particular dataset and XPD dataset, and then if there are any dictionaries and everything, it will show. Okay. And specifying the page numbers of the origin of the define.xml is required to the CRF page X refer to the document PDF page number and not the page number of that written in the CRF, particularly when the annotation is in the CRF. Okay, so when we are providing the page numbers, you need to provide the based on the PDF document it's showing. Okay, the top left corner it will show the 1 of 2, 1 of 10, something like that. That number you need to provide. It's not printed on the particular CRF field, CRF form. That number is a bit different to that. Okay, so for the define.xml, we need to provide the PDF document number, the page numbers. Okay, if there are any import changes, ensure that all the data is submitted to variable mentioned in the submission annotated CRF are present in the submission ready derived data set specification and vice versa. Okay, so while submission, ensure that all the data sets and all the variables are submitted. What we have present in the annotated, that should be present in the specification. Again, data sets. Again, it's vice versa. If you have something in the data sets and everything, that should be mentioned, that should be there in the CRF. Check the variables origin in the CRF. The submission ready DD specification all annotated correctly should be mapping changes occur in SDTM SRF. Ensure to update the corrected variables in the specification. Okay. So the origin, why, for example, in each and every variable in the different object in XML, we will provide the origin. Okay, that variable comes from the CRF, or it's a derived variable, or it's a constant assigned text. That we will provide. The origin field should be provided in the define. So in that case, wherever it's a CRF, if your origin is CRF, then the CRF page number also should provide. So in that way, this will hyperlink background, and then it will directly open the things. Use the HTML ACRF checklist to review your own work and before submitting for the senior review. If you've done with the ACRF annotation before release for this review, okay, so you need to check by your own, okay, then only you can review. So each and every organization, there are some checklists for each and every topic. For example, ACRF specification, domain creation, everything we have some checklist. So those checklists you need to cross check whether I am following those checklists or we are aligning with the particular rules. Then only we can release for the QC or we can release for the senior review, something like that. Okay. Okay, track the all changes to the HTML ACRF after the first delivery of the sponsor in the HTML if somebody changes document. Okay, so okay, we need to track the all changes in the HTML. Okay, because when in the first approved CRF and the later we have some amendments and everything. The study will go in the 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, something like that. But each and every CRF version we need to keep it archived. So we should not only have the latest version. That's not the case. We need to keep it everything and then for the reference purpose in the future. Okay, so general ACRF mapping steps. Okay, determine the data class. Okay, by seeing that form name, you need to understand that this will fit into the which data class events are intervention, special purpose, something that you need to find first. And then you need to determine the domain. So that will fit into the EXR, that will fit into the EC, that will fit into the DS, DM, vice versa. Okay, so that you need to find the later. Okay, so again, that particular domain you need to find the first identify the required variables and the expected variables and the permission variables and what are the relationship variables. So by those steps, if you follow, so it will ease your job. Okay, so what is the data class and what is the domain and what is the variable row and then these things. Okay, so the all applicable should be mapped the CD's SDM control terminology. Okay, so actually we have the CD's SDM control terminology document. Okay, for that while working on the annotation we should use those documents. Okay, so we have the document but taking into time, so we will demonstrate the ACRF as well as the okay. Okay, so it will take a while, okay, to explain the series control terminology. Just for the purpose, I'm showing this document. This is the series control terminology, the latest version. Okay, so this series control terminology, while using the ACRF, while using the specification, while you're working on the specification, while working on the data sets, okay, how you can cross check the things, how you can align with the series control terminology. That I'm going to demonstrate the things in the future live classes. Okay, so these are the documents which you need to understand. What is this control terminology? How you can search that particular control? So how you can identify it? So in the SDMIG, we have some control terminology code list. So how you can find here in those control terminology, and then how you can check that particular submission values, and then if your trial value is not aligned with the series control terminology, then what you need to do is that it's a extensible code list or non-extensible code list. If it's extensible, then you can add your own. That's fine. That we can mention at the end of the SDRG. But if it's a non-extensible that is not aligning with the series control terminology, that is what you can do. So that we will explain a bit later. So when we are demonstrating the ACRF and the control terminology, I will show you. It will take a while. So if I'll take fastly, then you cannot understand those things. Okay. So that's why these are things I'll demonstrate at the end. At the end means the next class, the live class for the CRF annotation. So we'll take the blank CRF and then we will annotate it and we'll show you how you can do that. So that we will show you. Yeah. So again, these are the two slides. So series control terminology and then the SDTM demonstration. Okay, how we can use and how we can annotate the things, and then that I will show you in the next week class. Okay, but again, so after that class, we will provide you to the series control terminology document and this blank unique CRF. You need to allocate with the particular blank each and every page. So later we will evaluate those things, how you can understand the ACRF annotation, where you lag. So based on that, we will provide the guidance. Okay, so that's it from today's session. So is there any questions or concerns from anybody? Okay, so this is the theoretical knowledge I have given. So these are the things we will give the live demonstration for the ACRF annotation. So in that way, you can identify the things how you can use these knowledge. Okay. Okay, so is there any question? I have a meeting in 5 minutes. Okay, so if you have any questions, please ask me. We'll have 5 more minutes to discuss the things. I mean, so how do you think this? I mean, you can understand it, or it's entirely new, you're unable to understand, already you know these things. Can anybody answer? Actually, you can say yes or no, whether you can understand or not.
It's completely new stuff for me. Mm-hmm. As I completed just with base and advanced, I didn't enter in series.
Mm-hmm. So already completed the C disk training. So is this for them it's new or it's already covered from the previous classes from your other training?
It is covered a little bit too, but not this different.
Mhm. So did you people annotate the blank CRF for any study? Anyone? Anybody did any annotations so far?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay then, is there any questions from anybody? You don't panic. These things will cover live things. So while listening these things a bit new to many of them, but however, so when we give the live demonstrations, okay, I'll open the blank CRF, I will annotate and then I'll show you, and then later you people can do your own. So then you'll get the clear picture how we can add by using the Adobe Acrobat and everything. So that is a live demonstration session, and then the later your practice is very important. Then only you can understand the things properly. Okay.
Exhibitions also మాకు explain చేస్తారు సార్.
Each and everything, yeah, everything will be covered theoretically and then later by live demonstration ఉంటుంది. Then later మీరు కూడా అసైన్మెంట్స్ అన్ని చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. మేము ఫస్ట్ అంటే మీరు లేరన్నమాట ఫస్ట్ క్లాస్ లో ACRF స్పెసిఫికేషన్ ప్రోటోకాల్ కాన్సి లైవ్ డాక్యుమెంట్స్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ డిఫైన్ .xml ఎవ్రీథింగ్ విల్ బి కవర్డ్. ఓకే, సబ్మిషన్ ప్యాకేజ్ డేటా సెట్ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ కంట్రోల్ టెక్నాలజీ డిక్షనరీ వర్షన్స్ ఎట్లా యూజ్ చేస్తాం ఎట్లా క్రియేట్ చేస్తాం ఏంటి ఎవ్రీథింగ్ విల్ కవర్. లైవ్ డెమోన్స్ట్రేషన్ ఉంటుంది. ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ కూడా మీకు 1 or 2 డొమైన్స్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ చేసి చూపిస్తాం ఎట్లా చేయాలి ఏంటి అని చెప్పేసి. తర్వాత మిగతా డొమైన్స్ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. అందులో కూడా మీకు అర్థం కాకపోతే ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాం. ఫ్లో సపోర్ట్ ఉంటుంది, ఎవ్రీథింగ్ ఉంటుంది.
సో సార్ వీఆర్ ఇన్ ద మిడిల్ ఆఫ్ ద కోర్స్ అయితే కూడా జాయిన్ అవ్వచ్చు సార్.
అదే నేను చెప్తున్నాను కదా, ఒక 20 days 1 month లో మనకి క్లాస్ అయిపోయేటట్టు మీరు జాయిన్ చెప్పడం వరకు. ఎందుకంటే మనం ఎప్పుడైతే డొమైన్ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ ఇదంతా థియరిటికల్ పార్ట్ ఉంటుంది కదా, CRF annotation, C disk standards, SDM స్పెసిఫికేషన్, కంట్రోల్ టెక్నాలజీ డాక్యుమెంట్స్ ఇవన్నీ ఏంటంటే మనకు SAS తో సంబంధం లేదు వాటికి అంతా. సో బట్ ఎప్పుడైతే మనం ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ స్టార్ట్ చేస్తామో అప్పుడు మీకు ఇది కంప్లీట్ అయింది కదా SAS, అప్పుడు ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ SAS అవసరం ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి. సో ఒక 1 month లో మీకు కంప్లీట్ అయిపోతుందంటే మీరు జాయిన్ అయిపోవచ్చు. No, it's completely not offline and online both we have.
ఓకే సార్.
సో నాకు కంప్లీట్ SDM నాలెడ్జ్ అంటే యాడమ్స్ TLS అంతగా నాలెడ్జ్ యాడమ్స్ అండ్ TLS. సో నేను కంటిన్యూ అవడం వల్ల నాకు యాడమ్స్ TLS వల్ల చేయడానికి capability ఉంటుంది.
Yeah, definitely. ఎందుకంటే ఇప్పుడు సేమ్ లైక్ మళ్ళీ సేమ్ యాడమ్ వచ్చేసరికి యాడమ్ స్పెసిఫికేషన్ అండ్ అనాలిసిస్ ప్లాన్స్ యాప్ అండ్ అనాలిటెడ్ షెల్స్ నెక్స్ట్ యాడమ్ డొమైన్ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ కవర్ అవుతుంది. ప్లస్ మీరు చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది, మేము చూపిస్తాము ప్రోగ్రామ్ చేసి మీరు అన్ని డొమైన్స్ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. నెక్స్ట్ TLFs కూడా మేము ప్రతిదీ నాకు TLFs టేబుల్స్ లిస్టింగ్ ఫిగర్స్ అన్ని ప్రోగ్రామ్ చూపిస్తే మీరు కూడా చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది సర్వర్ లో.
సో డైరెక్ట్ మీరు
అంటే చెప్పండి.
అవైలబుల్ గా ఉంటాను కాబట్టి డౌట్స్ వస్తే ఎలా చేసాం మరి.
యా, ఇప్పుడు ఏంటంటే క్లాస్ అవుతుంది. క్లాస్ అయిపోయిన ప్రతి క్లాస్ కి ముందు తర్వాత డౌట్ సెషన్ ఉంటుంది. దెన్ నెక్స్ట్ ఏంటంటే మీకు ఫ్లో సపోర్ట్ ఉంటుంది. నెక్స్ట్ వాళ్ళు ఎవరైతే ఆన్లైన్ లో ఉన్నారో వాళ్ళకి కూడా కాంటాక్ట్ డీటెయిల్స్ ప్రొవైడ్ చేయడం అవుతుంది. సో దే కెన్ ఆస్క్ డైరెక్ట్, దే కెన్ కాల్ అండ్ దెన్ దే కెన్ షేర్ ద స్క్రీన్ అండ్ దే కెన్ ఆస్క్. ఓకే, ఆ సపోర్ట్ ఉంటుంది మీకు డౌట్స్ వచ్చిన కూడా. ఇన్ కేసు వాళ్ళు కూడా ఆన్సర్ చేయలేని పొజిషన్ ఉంటే నెక్స్ట్ డే నేను అవైలబుల్ ఉంటాను, ఆ టైంలో మనం డిస్కస్ చేద్దాం. మీకు బ్యాకప్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ అయితే ఉంటుంది, అట్లా ఏం లేదు, టెన్షన్ లేదు. ఓకే,
ఆన్లైన్ టైమింగ్స్ ఏంటి సార్?
ఆ టైమింగ్స్ మేము ఒకసారి ఏంటంటే అందరూ ఫైనలైజ్ అయిపోయినాక ప్రాపర్ టైమింగ్ ఫిక్స్ చేసి చెప్తాం. ఓకేనా, మోస్ట్లీ ఇన్ మార్నింగ్ టైమ్స్ ఏం ఉండొచ్చు, బట్ విల్ కీప్ యూ పోస్టెడ్.
హౌ మెనీ అవర్స్ సార్?
ఏంటిది అంటే ఈచ్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీ క్లాస్
yes sir.
So most probably 1.5 hours. Again, it depends on the topic. Sometimes in week only 1 hour. Sometimes it will take through some extra time also based on your question. For example, if you complete the 1.5 hour and then most of them are having the queries concerns, then that will leads to some extra time. Depends, but usually it's 1.5 hour to 2 hour. It depends on the topic.
Sir, offline, how many hours I need?
If
it is offline, how many hours we need to attend the class, sir?
Class will be the same. Class will be the online and offline will be the same. So the practice session would be if you are on the online guy, you need to own your practice by your system. If you are an offline guy, then you can come to the office and then we'll provide the system. You can work from there. If you have any doubts, you will have the one guy or two guys who support and assist you how to work it on. So if you have from the offline batch, online batch, then you need to call him. That's it. So anyway, again, for this training purpose also, I'm not the only guy to train entire session. We have one more guy, so we both are having the 10+ years of experience. So the next session might he'll take care. Okay, so we'll have the 2 trainers and then 1 or 2 person for the floor support.
Okay.
So after completing internship, మాకు support ఉంటుంది సార్ మీ ఎగ్జామ్ జాబ్.
జాబ్ ఇన్ ద సెన్స్ అది జాబ్ ఇన్ ద సెన్స్ ఏంటిదంటే లైక్ ఇక్కడ ఓపెనింగ్స్ ఉంటే చెప్తాము, ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ ఫైనల్ అయిపోయిందంటే ఖచ్చితంగా అంటే నేను ఎంత నేర్చుకున్నా సార్, కోర్స్ కూడా రావట్లేదు సార్, నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ కాల్స్ చాలా తక్కువగా ఉంటున్నాయి సార్.
రెజ్యూమ్ ప్రిపరేషన్ మెయిన్ థింగ్ అనేది ఏం అర్థం కావట్లేదు.
మీకంటే ఫస్ట్ క్లాస్ మీరు రెజ్యూమ్ బిల్డింగ్, ఇంటర్వ్యూ ప్రిపరేషన్ అండ్ హౌ టు కండక్ట్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ, నెక్స్ట్ ఏంటంటే మాక్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ అన్ని మేము చేస్తాం చెప్పాము మీకు. అంటే మాక్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ కూడా మేము చేస్తాం మీకు. సో దట్ ఏంటంటే మీరు ఎక్కడ లాగ్ అవుతుందో తెలుస్తుంది. సో ఆ ఏరియాలో ఫోకస్ చేయొచ్చు ఇంటర్వ్యూ స్కెడ్యూలింగ్. ఓకే, మాక్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ ఇన్ ద సెన్స్ ఏంటంటే మీకు మేము ఇంటర్వ్యూ కండక్ట్ చేస్తాం, ఏం చేస్తాం చేస్తే సో మీరు ఎక్కడ ఆన్సర్ చేయగలుగుతారో లేదో నాకు తెలుస్తుంది. ఓకేనా, ఇంకా రిమైనింగ్ టైమింగ్స్ అండ్ ఫీ రిలేటెడ్ ఇంకా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే మీరు దాని కండక్ట్ అవ్వండి. సో ఇలా ఆన్సర్ యూ. ఓకే, ఫర్ ఎనీ అదర్ సబ్జెక్ట్. Okay, then yeah, thank you guys. Okay, if you have any question or concerns, we'll discuss in the next class. So have a meeting right away. So thank you. Thanks for your time and yeah, bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
क्या मालूम कराना था ना? तू मालूम कर ले। क्या मालूम करा था? हाँ, छोटे भाई ना कूट कूट के बुरे बुरे गालियां देके जिंदगी बर्बाद करता था। किधर से जिंदगी बर्बाद करता था। लानत फोन लगा था, जिंदगी बर्बाद करता था। किधर से देखिए
2 मिनट से जाकर जुड़वा भी था।